techniques of how to put together the chart. And the first couple of times we do it, they'll feel like unconnected techniques. They'll feel like I'm teaching you about one part of the chart, one part of the signs, one part of the planets or whatever. But as my favorite teacher, Ernst Wilhelm, says, and that's how I learned astrology, you learn as many simple techniques as possible. And then you practice them. And then when you look at the chart, at the beginning, it will feel like, oh my God, which technique do I use? But when you've been practicing them, they'll just jump out at you. With time, this happens with time. Don't get desperate if you don't feel it immediately. Immediately you'd look at separate elements. Oh, how many planets are in water signs? Or, oh, I see there are a lot of squares in this chart. Or, oh, I see this or that, the techniques that we'll go through. But at the end, the more you practice that, or the more charts you look at, and to be honest, I learned astrology mostly by looking at charts of my family, my loved ones and friends, and then later on with clients, but it's enough just to look at those you love. Things start jumping out of you. It moves from the logical to the intuitive level. Once you learn something really well, as I said, it becomes like intuitive. So you look at it and something will jump out, and you won't have to use all the techniques. I'll give you probably 50 techniques here. You sometimes will be able to answer a difficult question like career or love or with one or two of those techniques, because your intuition, your higher self, will lead you to which one is the right one for you to use. And of course, the more you meditate, I mean like stare at the chart to think about the person and their problem, or your problem if you're thinking on your chart, the more deeper insights you will receive. And the best way to learn something is every time I give a technique, to pass it after that through your chart, that of your loved one, that of your best friend, someone that you know well, or some star whose life you're reading, or someone whose biography you're reading that is legit, not through the third eye, but someone who's being very honest, who you know more about. And then because of the personal experiences you have, those techniques will get imprinted in your soul, so to speak. And it won't be just like some kind of a dry knowledge that you're learning. It will be infused with emotion, because you connect the technique to something you've experienced, something a friend of yours is experiencing or is like. And when you infuse information with feelings, with emotions, that's when the real deep knowledge settles in. That's when it becomes intuitive, not just on the mental level. So I highly advise you to do that. I might give you, homework, but I cannot check all of that homework. But we'll try to go like that. Just remember, infusing feeling with the techniques is what gives the best results. So this course is going to go like the first 2-3 times lessons. We're going to give techniques and explain them in depth, and you're gonna check them with your charts. And then the next 3 or 4 lessons we'll be looking at specific themes. We'll look at indications for longevity and health. We'll look at indications for, and there will be different things from those techniques that I taught. So from those techniques, we'll take different points that I've noticed that really work for answering certain questions. So you have like a guideline, but it's not set in stone, this guideline, And we'll practice with charts of famous people or someone else's charts. So I think it will be a lot of fun. So when an element is dominant, it can be a special talent. And, sometimes say, oh, they have too much fire. It can be a bit overpowering. And people tell, well, you shouldn't get too excited or whatever. No, God has given you lots of fire, or lots of earth or air. It's given because it's a special superpower for you, a special power to use in this lifetime and as a service. Maybe you have no water and you're like, I have no water. I'm a robot. I have no feelings. How do I, it's like maybe you are not given water because you have to focus on something else, because you have to develop the other end, or you have to have special talents in the other element. So don't beat yourself if you see there is a lacking element. There is special remedies how to bring a little bit more of this element. But one thing to tell you, if something it's not very strong in you, don't make it the focus of your life. Don't try to achieve your greatest achievements through something that is lacking in your life, because it's like you're looking at the empty glasses and thinking, oh, what can I create out of them, when you have 3 full glasses behind you of something else, So, so of course, you can use the elements, predominant element, through your career, through interests, interactions, and to answer many questions like relationships and so on. We'll see how to use them. When lacking an element, one might be out of touch with that area of life. Or it's something is seen that they might overcompensate. For example, my older brother has no earth, and he's a Pisces. He's supposed to be messy, but because he has also no earth, he has over focused on keeping everything clean always and always. So sometimes they can be like overcompensation when you're lacking an element. But because we're human beings that we have this compensating thing within us. But most often you'll see that this person is kind of doesn't care about those things. It's not very aware or doesn't need them much, So as I say, while it's good to try and balance a bit of a missing element, one should not focus their whole life on it, making it a prime career, etc. For example, if I don't have any water, being a psychologist might be a bit hard because, I won't be able to penetrate inside the deep motivations of a person. Might be good to be a motivational life coach, so I don't get too emotionally overwhelmed, but sometimes you see people with strong water, they can bond very deeply and understand the soul of another. And so you see, like, you see how each of the elements corresponds. For example, it is best for one to employ the gifts of the natural temperaments they have come on earth with, since it is the elements since this is what your soul wants to work with, and it's to master. So here I give example. If one is naturally empathic and soulful with strong water, they will suffer in a highly competitive or emotionless environment. Throw someone with strong water, with the sun, with the moon, or whatever, in a very competition-driven business that is dry, doesn't consider the needs of people, that is all about the numbers. That will kill their soul. That will disconnect them from their prime purpose. That's when people get depressed. That's when people feel disconnected from themselves. So remedies when you're lacking earth, or if you have imbalanced earth. So if you're blocked with money, with finances, with taking care of things, it's like maybe take care of a plant. Mine always die. Eat ground veggies. They're grounding in energy, potatoes. And you can say meat as well because it's very grounding, but I avoid it. But I've heard some Ayurvedic, they say, not Ayurvedic, but whatever they say, sometimes when you lack earth, ground yourself with meat. I'm trying not to. More minerals, foods that have more minerals for your bones. The hard things in your body is the earth for your bones, for the building of your body. Ground yourself. Time in nature. Grounding stones like agate. They're very simple things. Grounding colors of the earth, of the trees. Oh, I forgot to tell you. Each of the 4 elements rules a different food group. Fire rules proteins. So people that have strong fire need a bit more protein. You can take it through meat. Often fire people digest meat really well. They have the fire, the burning fire in the digestive system, which is needed for meat. I am strong fire, but I don't touch meat. Well, occasionally. But then eat other proteins. Proteins comes from beans and legumes. They usually have strong digestion if you have fire. Plus, if you want to have a bit more fire in you, you can, eat a bit more fiery foods. But again, too much fire eating meat can make you not very aggressive. Fire is already aggressive. Air is fats. Air rules fats. So if you have strong air, maybe you need a bit more fats in your body, because to balance it out. So eat good fats, avocados and oils of any sort, especially because fats calm the nervous system. If you know, many nervous conditions are caused by lack of omega-3 or those kind of stuff. Water rules carbohydrates. And you'll see a lot of people with strong water very drawn to sweets and carbs, but they should eat the good carbohydrates. Or if you're lacking water, some sweet foods are good for you, like I would say milk goes with the sweet taste towards the water element. And if you're lacking water, if you have water, you need everyone needs carbohydrates, but take them, they're healthy carbs, in fruits and veggies and so on. But for water people, it's good to be cooked. If you have strong water, cook your fruits and vegetables better because the digestive system of strong water is not so strong. So they need easier digestion, to have easier. Earth element is minerals. Minerals comes mostly from vegetables, from salt, and taking some supplements as well. Mineral supplements. So if you're lacking earth, ground yourself with such things. These are simple remedies. You lack one element, you take some of its food. But if you have a lot of that element, you also need to partake. The angles. We're going to use the IC MC for this because this is truly the most important. More planets in angles and angular houses and signs of the ascendant, descendant, and specifically they in the same sign as the ascendant, descendant, MC, IC. Even if they're before, it doesn't look like they're in the 4th house Placidus, but they're in the same sign or very close
or close, even if they're in a different sign, but close to IC, MC, ascendant, descendant, I call those planets angular. Even if they're in the 12th house or they look like they're in the 9th house, according to Placidus, if they're close to an angle, it's an angular planet. I give them 10 degrees on each side. Such people, if you have 3, 4 or more planets, especially the 7 traditional planets, Sun, Moon, Venus, Mercury, Mars, Saturn, these, if you have 3, 4 more planets close to angles, either on, from the 12th house, 1st or 9th, 10th or 6th, 7th or 3rd, 4th, around the IC, MC, and DC and ascendant, then these people, those planets can manifest very powerfully when they're close to an angle. I'll show you in a little bit what I mean. And such people, these planets, they don't necessarily have good qualities. The dignity of the planet will show how good a person can do those things, but the person will be doing its quantity and power. The planet becomes powerful there, for good or bad. Depends if this planet has bad aspect or if it's in good dignity. A planet on an angle can do a lot of damage when it's, with hard aspects or difficult planet, with difficult dignity. But it will strongly manifest in the life of the person, that energy. Any planet on angle is so powerful, guys. And such people become, the more planets you have in angle, so 4 or more, or even 3, but they should be from the important visible planets: Mercury, Jupiter, Sun, Moon, Venus, Saturn, Mars. I, for example, have just 1 planet on angle in the 7th house, and it's 20 degrees from the angle. And Uranus, Uranus, if you use those planets. Such people have very strong presence. They're movers and shakers. They're very influencers, you'd call them. There's kind of like the angular position can compensate for lack of cardinal signs. So these people would be initiators. They'll start things. So even if you have no cardinal planets, so planets in Aries, in Capricorn, in Aquarius, in Capricorn, in Cancer, and Libra, to initiate, to start, if you have planets on angles, you'd be mover and shaker. You'd have stronger presence and will. You'd be more active, prominent, busy, initiate things, because the angles starts and new beginnings as well. They carry this energy of the cardinal signs. They have more ambition and drive. So you see, if you're liking one thing, but you see, oh, I have no cardinal planets to begin things, but you see many planets on angles, you would be initiating things. Maybe if the angles are fixed, a bit slower, but you'd not be someone who is not ambitious and driven and go-go.